Who do I hear the papers from? Hey there, this is Pam Perry. How are you? Good, good, good. So, Black Speakers Network, we are here today with our June issue. It is the one that is June. And we are going to be talking with JJ Conway, and she's our cover girl. And we're here with Why Be the Connector? Why Be the Connector? So thank you all so much. So we're gonna really talk with JJ and go through this particular issue, which is a two-time cover girl because Juneteenth is what she does. Her legacy event, JuneteenthLegacy.com. That's what she does. Yes. Okay, good. You good. Because I was like, I don't have my hand on it. I don't have my hand on it. So this year, wow. Wow. So this is the second year of doing her Juneteenth Legacy event. And she has a lot of great guests that will go through it here. But George Fraser is one. And she also has General Larry O. Spencer, Dr. Boyce Watkins. But if you notice that on the cover here, it says Lieutenant Colonel JJ Conway. Okay, so let's just start there. Okay, we're going to start with that. Like, there's a woman that's a lieutenant colonel. So tell us about that whole part, about where that came from and what were you a lieutenant colonel in? Okay, I've got to unmute.
Thank Ivy for hosting this session. I'm so excited to be on with y'all today. The lieutenant colonel part was definitely hard one. I went to the Air Force Academy, despite everyone's prognosis for me as a child that I was too slow to accomplish anything. I worked real hard, earned that free degree. But while I would
I
go
hear
ahead.
a little tapping. I know we're not doing the tapping thing, but I hear a tapping. Is it
It might
a
be her mic. It might be her mic on
with
the.
the earrings? Yes. Is it the mic with the
Oh,
earrings?
because I'm trying not to move too much. Is
Yes.
that
Yes.
better?
Yeah, I,
Okay.
I think it's the mic with the earrings because every time we kind of move, the guys ain't got to deal with that. But yeah, we hear the little tapping sound.
All right, let me try and be real still because y'all want to hear
Or
this
either take the
story.
earrings out, or either take the earrings out. I know,
Oh, okay.
I
It's
know.
not going away.
Now it did. Now it did. Okay, we're good.
All
We're
right,
good.
we'll just go try. Because when I take my earrings out, that means something about to go down. But sometimes the natural movement. So we got.
we don't want no smoke. No smoke today. No smoke.
But if I have to later, let me know. We'll do that because we want to get the job done. We want people to get it blessed and encouraged and know that they can succeed despite any obstacle that gets put in front of them. And the
Amen.
very first obstacle I had was the people that always said I wasn't going to be nothing. But I got to the Air Force Academy and I thought, oh, now I've arrived. I've got my free appointment to an Ivy League level school. And I tell you what, they fought me every step of the way. And I'll spare the sob story, but one story I will share with you is that I wanted to declare my major as physics. And I was told that I could not declare my major as physics because what the advisor told me was that blacks can't do physics.
Mm,
And I decided they were not going to stop me because when you tell me I can't do something, that's my motivation to stick it to you and prove that I can. And
right.
so I
But
declared
wait a minute,
physics.
JJ. Wait a
Go
minute. So we're
ahead.
talking about blacks don't do physics. We're talking like in the 50s, right? No,
Where
no.
you know what? You remember that movie Hidden Figures? That
Yes.
Yes.
stuff is still in the government today. I was screaming at that TV like that still happens.
And
But
that's in the 80s and the 90s.
in the 90s, this was in 1993,
Wow.
and they had just had a report from the Department of Defense that said blacks were incapable. I didn't know this at the time, but I found out in my doctoral research that they had a report that had just come out that blacks were incapable of higher level math and scientific leadership and leadership in certain levels. That was a
Mm,
report in 1991, the Department of Defense. So I
you
had to
sure
overcome
do.
that obstacle, and
Mhm.
I was able to graduate as the number one space physics and the number five physics graduate overall. And I
Yeah.
went on to do physics in the Air Force for 23 years, being the first black to serve in that role. And although
Yeah.
my paperwork says physics in the Air Force, none of the other services has physicists, nuclear physicists. So I was like, I'm going to claim the whole military.
Wow. You are the only black physicist
I
in the
was the
military.
first.
First,
We've got
right.
four
First.
more now. We've got four
Good.
more now.
It's always
Yes,
a good thing to be first, but we never want to be the only. So
That's
that
right.
is
that's
good.
right.
So you busted the window open, or the door, bust the door down, and broke through the glass ceiling
Yes.
on that. So thank you so much, because that's really important. So now we've got this background, Dr. JJ, physicist, Lieutenant, and all of this, and now we're doing this Juneteenth legacy celebration. That's what this issue is about. But before that was something you went through, and, YB, you read the story, so you kinda give you
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to touch on that, and I want to frame it from the position of setbacks and success, right? So,
Mhm.
in this issue, it talks a little bit about a challenge that you endured that led you to the point of launching your financial literacy or financial legacy event. Could you talk a little bit about that in terms of setback?
Absolutely. What a lot of people don't know, for many of our military members, is that when military people go away, whether it's in country for 6 months or away overseas for 6 months, whatever, a year, 18 months, you sign power of attorney to your spouse or someone who can take care of your affairs stateside or home side on your behalf. And when I came home from a military trip, when I came home from that military trip, I found that my house was sold, my stuff was thrown out, and my ex had kind of taken up with somebody else. They hadn't gotten as far as they eventual, but he had decided he had feelings for somebody else, and I came home to be homeless with $845,000 of debt that had been run up in my name. About 120 of that was consumer debt, like credit cards, and the rest of that was over leveraged property. He had extracted home equity lines on all of our rent homes. And so
Mhm.
that was one of those messes that I had to clean up when I came home, because I had a very high, as you can imagine, being a nuclear physicist, I had a very high security clearance. And in order to keep that clearance, I couldn't go bankrupt and I couldn't let those properties go into foreclosure. So I
Mm,
had to learn how money worked and how to make it work for me. And when I learned how money worked, I realized that many people that I cared about, especially people that look like me and in communities where people look like me, they don't know these things. We get sold these secrets of the wealthy in hotel rooms and in restaurant side rooms, and they're really not secrets of the wealthy at all. They're just things that keep the poor poorer and make the wealthy wealthier. But with sound financial strategies, then we can absolutely succeed and build wealth that endures to the third and fourth generation.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
that's that's
got
important. Yeah.
so out of almost $1 million, you got out of that, from under that. How long did that take?
It would have took a lot less time if I hadn't kept blaming my ex-husband and wallowing in the fact that none of this was my fault. So I'm just going to go
Mm.
on record and say that. But when I retired from the Air Force in November of 2020, if it hadn't been a pandemic, we would have had a JJ's worth nothing party, because my net worth had finally come to zero.
Mm.
That
Wow.
was 13 years.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh my
Wow.
God. So that is amazing. And then the strategies that you did to come out of that is really like the main thing that catapulted you into Conway Financial Group. That's really what you're doing right now.
Yes, absolutely. And so the tie between the military and the financial, you can see how that journey came. And then with when it comes to Juneteenth, why is Juneteenth so important to me? Is because I got an assignment in the South and I learned about Juneteenth, and I thought, it is so like the world today for us, where we have this vision and this declaration that all people are free and all people are equal. But in reality, all people aren't free and all people aren't equal. And
Mhm.
I have this interesting facet of my personality, two facets of my genetics that I can't control. One, in some situations, I don't look black. And in other situations, I'm so short that you can't tell I'm sitting at my desk. And so throughout my military career, I heard all the things that people say about Black people when they don't realize that Black people were around. And when
Wow.
I put all of those things together after learning about Juneteenth, I said, I have a responsibility to educate people of what's going on behind the scenes, and to give people an outlet to vent and to know that they're not crazy and that these
Mhm.
things are really happening. And here, most importantly, because we got a lot of venues where people come out and vent, right? We got a lot of, everybody's got a YouTube channel now, everybody's got Facebook Lives, and we all talking about the trauma. But this conference is designed to let us know what to do about it so that we can succeed economically in a world that still doesn't think that people who look like us should succeed economically.
Yeah. A quick question for you. How important is collaboration when it comes to financial independence and financial freedom? I mean, obviously you were able to transition, but did you do it by yourself, or did you have some folks that were helping you along the way? So speak to the importance of collaboration, and then your journey from being in your in your feelings to being able to get to zero.
Absolutely. Now there were people who helped me along the way. And I'm going to be honest with you though, when I'd say about halfway through my journey, I discovered that more people helped me than I realized, because a lot of people that helped me were not people of color, and they didn't want to be publicly seen helping a person of color. And so I never really knew the things that were going on where someone resonated with me or they cared and they opened a door for me, and I never realized. But I would say a significant part of that journey was on my own. But here's that thing. Y'all have probably heard this proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And even though I had a lot of success on my own, and I had a lot of success despite people's attempts to frame me, to try to get me kicked out of the military, to try to
Mhm.
discredit my name, all those different kinds of things. Even though I persevered, I was only going to get so far on my own. And I'm not called to just go so far. I really do feel that I am called to change communities. And in
Amen.
order to do that, we have to go together. I don't have the reach that everybody else has, and I don't have the voice that, oops, I'm moving again. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting so fired up.
You're
Well, you
fired
know
up.
what?
Come
Let me
on.
just
You're
take
fired
these
up.
things off. Wait, this is the one that's on the mic. Let me just take this thing off, y'all, because
You could
I
tell
really
she's like
do.
fired up. They
Is that
fired up.
better? Is that
That's much
Yes,
better?
better. Come
yes.
on.
Okay.
Now you
Come
can
on.
go and just
Now you
like,
can
hey,
shake that thing. Come on. Now you can come on.
Because we are being held down, and people don't even realize what they don't know, but
Right.
somebody needs to step forward, and a lot of people won't step forward because they don't know that they need help. Okay, that's the first problem we have with the younger generation, and I was that way as a young major in the Air Force. I didn't realize, how much I was about to hit the minute I became lieutenant colonel. Because see, when you're at the lower ranks in the military, you're not a threat. But all of a sudden now you're threatening some pilot's good job and some pilot's command. Oh, now we got to do something about her. She needs to stay in her place. And
Right.
so there's a certain level of us, we've gotten to a lot of success on our own, but we cannot get where we really want to go, or where we're called to go, or build that lasting wealth on our
mhm,
own. We have to work together. And that's what this conference is about.
the lasting wealth. How did you meet though? We're talking about connections. So you have one of the connectors there that we call Uncle George, Dr. George Frazier. How did you meet Dr. George Frazier? And then you also have another powerhouse speaker, Dr. Boyce Watkins.
You know what? I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. But the first time I called Dr. George Fraser, I was quaking in my boots. I was being mentored by Shay Brown about how to transition from my in-person events that I had before the pandemic. I did a few virtuals, but not to the extent that I do now. Those were mostly nonprofit. And Shay Brown was like, "Well, why don't you call Dr. Fraser? He would love to headline you." And I'm like, "The Dr. Fraser?" And he said, "Here's his number." And he just said it so casually. He was building my back end for me. And I just appreciate how people in this level, this, how do we want to say, the elevated level of mindset, are willing to share and collaborate. And I called Dr. Fraser, and he actually gave me, y'all, he gave me the first interview for free. And then he headlined another interview of my event, another event. I had to pay his fee though. But he gave. And there's a phrase that they use
Mhm.
in BNI, Business Networking International, called givers gain and
Yep.
givers get. And he gave, and he poured into me, and he poured into my son. And then I was like, "You got me. I'm hooked for life now." That man
Mhm.
has so much wisdom, and he has created pathways. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is
I tell you what, Dr. Frazier. I told George when we first connected. I said I'm this generation's George Frazier, but this is what he told me. He said the true definition of networking is to give until it hurts and then give some more. I said, hold on, how much more can you give if you give it until it hurts? He says, give, you'll know. And so I'm glad that he mentioned that to you, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a true networker, you can't focus on what you're not getting. And now you can be in control of that, but you have to focus on how can you give, because you already know it's going to come back, and it may not come back from the person who you gave to, but it'll come back eventually. So glad you were able to get that experience from Dr. George.
And he's a
Hmm.
person of integrity, wisdom and integrity. So he can't go around talking about networking and connecting and he doesn't pick up his phone or talk to people or really walk his talk.
Right.
And I've met him probably about over 30 years ago. And he did the same thing. He spoke at a conference I was doing for those that were in advertising, blacks in advertising, radio, and television. And he came, he spoke to the students at that time. We were doing scholarship events, and he spoke and he gave and he donated books. And his first book, Success Runs in Our Race. And it's just one of those things where it's refreshing that people walk their talk and really
Hmm.
connecting, and good people connect with other good people. So, Dr. Boyce Watkins, he is a person that really talks about economics for Black people. So give us a little bit of background on how you met Dr. Boyce Watkins.
Well, I'll tell you what, the way I met Dr. Boyce Watkins, my family will never forget, because it was my first Black Business Expo in my new home, stationed at Barksdale Air Force Base, Shreveport, Louisiana. And they had a Black Business Expo, and I'd been in town for like 2 weeks, but I didn't care. I was getting in on this thing. Well, and for those of you who don't know, my husband is white. And so my husband generally sets up my booths. He works my booth while I pretend to work and go around networking with people. He sells my stuff for me. He hauls it all back to the car, drives me to and from everything that I do. But this particular guest speaker was Dr. Boyce Watkins. And he got up and he started talking about all the evil tricks that the white systemic racist system does to Black people. And my eyes bug out. And I'm like, he's been to Black events with me before, but this a Black event. And I walked over to him.
Dr.
I
Boyce
walked,
is blackity black, right? He is
he's
black.
blackity black, B1 all the way, y'all. But I go over to Chris and I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay with this? Are you going to be all right? He said, well, everything he's saying is true. I said, oh, I got me a good man.
You do.
And
It
that's
ain't
how
no
I
truth
met
is
Dr.
true.
Boyce Watkins. And actually, this is something that is actually probably hard for a lot of people to hear, not because it's socially hard, but the way that Dr. Boyce Watkins came to speak at this event was because I won an auction. We don't call it auction anymore. I forget what we call it, but it was a celebrity brain share event, and whoever was willing to donate the most was going to get that guest speaker to either come mentor them for an hour or speak to their group. And I was like, as much as I need and want more mentoring to take my business to the next level, I knew that we needed Dr. Boyce on there. And I had been following him and coming to his events ever since that first time back in 2016. So last year he headlined our conference, and it was just so powerful. It's so powerful that I'm excited to rebroadcast his talk from Chicago last year as part of
Ooh,
this year's online event.
he is powerful. I remember the very first time I heard Boyce Watkins on YouTube. And I was mesmerized. I couldn't get off. I think I must have binged about 4 or 5 hours. I'm serious. I was like, where did he come? This from years ago, but I was like, where did he come from? And his background, I think he was a professor at a Ivy League school.
Hmm.
And so it was like he kind of had a revelation or a come to Jesus meeting with himself. And he decided to do, I think it's called the Black Business School.
Yes.
Yes,
And that whole thing that he does is just, and he's writing books after books after books, and it's just like it's just like coming out of him. It's like he's trying to give this. He was woke before the word term was like woke, right? So he was waking
exactly.
people up, and so Dr. George Fraser and Boyce Watkins and you. That's the price of admission right there.
That's
Okay,
huge.
just for
Yep.
Juneteenth legacy. I mean, at that point, but tell us about who else and what else is going to be happening there, because it's more than those three. And then, okay, I'm sorry, General. Larry O. Spencer. So give us, I'm not familiar with him. So give us a little bit of background of the general here.
Absolutely. So, one of the things, before I give the background on General Spencer, one of the things that's very important in my celebration of Juneteenth is that we have what we call the Black Veterans Brunch. And so, the section of the last day is always dedicated, that morning is always dedicated to Black veterans and the issues that Black veterans suffer. So, a report came out in 2020 that highlighted so many decades of denied benefits, denied promotional opportunities, harsher punishments and discipline against Black people compared to other groups. Like, they did all this research and documented it and have it in person for people to not be able to ignore. They still ignoring it, but it's at least documented. And so, one of the things that was very important to me as I saw it play out in my life was to bring in somebody who had the respect of Black people, especially in the Air Force, but in other military services. General Spencer at one time was actually twice, I think, was the chair of AFCOMA, which is a mentoring organization for Air Force officers. He's also served on the board of USAA and the Air Force Association, USAA being the big bank that caters to military. And
Wow.
so when he had a book launch a couple years ago, and he was looking for different ways to advertise. I was like, I'm not a marketing guru, but I have some conferences. Can you be in my conferences? And he graced us with some wisdom. Graced us with two fantastic Power Pack sessions. And the one we're broadcasting in this conference was one that was only shown to a closed group. So this is never before publicly seen content, but he walks through finances bit by bit, including how to stop paying a car note and all these different kinds of things that we think are outside of our grasp, but really are the key to living more wealthy a lifestyle.
You
Yeah,
are amazing. That
yeah.
is, you pulled together some powerhouses here.
That's the true
So,
definition of a magnet, being able to attract the right people at the right time.
that is. So juneteenthlegacy.com, how do people get involved in that? And then you have other speakers, virtual speakers as well.
Yes, and we're going to have a live panel as well every morning, but the bulk of the conference is pre-recorded speakers specifically for Juneteenth. We've got Mama and Papa Soul Wisdom, we've got Asia K, we've got oh my goodness, I'm trying to make sure I name everybody, which means because we have like 40 something speakers, I'm going to miss some
Okay.
people. But let me talk
That's
to you about the topics. We're going to be
okay.
talking about life after lockup. We're going to be talking about the slavery of war. We're going to be talking about the crisis of Black education. We're going to be talking about the Black church under fire. How come recently the only time you ever hear anything about the Black church is people tearing it down?
Yeah.
The Black church was instrumental in earning our freedom. And whether or not people are religious, we can't ignore the fact that the Black church played a crucial role in emancipation. And
Yeah.
why is it that institution that's given so many people hope, that's taught people how to read when it wasn't legal, how that still today takes care of our children in many, many inner cities? How is it that institution is being torn down? It's just always a give and a take. And every time they give us something, they take something back. Now, I'll stop right there and let you ask another question.
No,
I
no,
feel
no.
myself getting
That is
riled up.
good. That is last night, Erin Simone, who was head of Fearless Fund, she was on CNN, and they basically ruled that it was illegal for them to give venture capital money to Black women entrepreneurs, and Erin had to come out swinging and really uh, to defend that and basically to fight the fight, because if they say that it's illegal because for that particular group, then there's going to be a whole lot of other groups that just says, okay, then race is not to be consideration. It's just like they're trying to get rid of affirmative action, they're trying to get rid of DEI. So it's a whole thing. Like you said, every time they give something, they take it away. But one of the topics you talk about, JJ, is corporate plantation of Black entertainment.
Mm.
Explain that concept.
This is one that's really tough for me because the reason that this became important was I looked at my son, who is a football star. And interestingly, he's going to be going to North Carolina A&T, go Aggies. And he
Okay.
is not going to play football. He'll be in the band. But one of
Okay.
the things that I discovered through his football career and found out as I researched his football career, and then I found that it happens to other people, is that a lot of us are basically still being marketed technically as slaves. We should be very thankful that they allow us to come in. And then I found out that it wasn't just football. And let me just qualify a little bit on, like, give you an example of how I'm not just being all in my feels and making the things about race. He was a star. He was a straight A student, star football player, straight A student in his middle in his elementary school, and they would not let him test for honors, even though we moved there from with the highest level of honors from my previous military station. This particular place in the South that we had been stationed said, nope, we're not. And I'm like, he's one of 6 kids in your entire school to have straight A's the whole year. Nope. And so I put him in a private school. And I get a call from the junior high football coach. Hey, where's Philip? Why is he not coming out to camp? And I was like, I moved him schools because they would not let him test for honors. I got it the first year because we were moving in, but now he's established himself. He's proved himself. He came to this place with honors. Do you know that 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail? Congratulations, Philip. You've been admitted to an honors homeroom, and we hope to see you on the football field.
Wow.
I'm
'Cause they
sorry, my
want
child is not your slave to make your school look good on that football field.
Mm.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's not just football. As I began to research, like, am I making this up? Is this just me? Is this just a random experience? I found out it's very similar when it comes to poaching Black churches for talent, singing talent, acting talent, a lot of spaces in entertainment. It is, we still control you. You're going to do what we say. You're going to do what we do. You're going to look how we want you to look. You're going to do those things, and you're going to take whatever drugs or whatever substance you need to get yourself in the place we need you to get yourself into, because we own you. And
Mm,
what I've also found is a growing number of entertainers. Now, granted, this is not my space. Okay. This is where I bring in other people, because this is
right.
something I didn't know anything about. But we bring in other people, and a growing number of entertainers are realizing I can go independent, and I can build my followings, and I can use the tools that are out there. Maybe I'm not making as many sales as I might be with this record label, but I'm getting 50% of my royalties, or 75%, or even 100% of my royalties, instead of 0.0001%. See,
Mhm.
a lot of people out there make it so big, but they actually have nothing at the end of the day. Or they have something, but then they get caught up in what's almost, in my opinion, like a sharecropper lifestyle. We're going to
Mm,
front you this and front you that, and you're going to make it big, but all your money's going to go back to us. So now you're used up, worn out, and you have no money. And it's
Mhm.
woo,
time for us to take care of each other. That's one of the reasons that I really love Johnny Walker and the NABFEM, National Association of Black Females in
you
Music and Entertainment,
executives. Mhm, mm,
executives in
mhm.
music and entertainment. She absolutely has a fantastic organization that helps people come in, and that's where I learned a lot of these things. It's like, wow, so you really can put together your own, you can get your own software and do this and do that, or you can work with another Black woman executive who's been there and done that, who's willing to
Yeah.
mentor you and teach you, so that you get more of what you wanted to do, which is make an impact. We
Mhm.
didn't sign up to play football or to sing or to act or to do any of these entertainment style things just so we could get out there and make somebody else rich. We wanted to have an impact and put money in our pocket and take care of our mamas, our daddies, our
In our
children,
community.
and
And
ourselves.
That's
right.
right.
In our community. That is it. That's a whole conference in by itself.
Yep.
Okay. That
Yep.
part right there. That is the whole conference. And then the other part that you said about the crisis in Black education. That is a whole but so Juneteenth, you hail from Texas right now. And so Juneteenth really it's funny that you're in Texas, and that's where Juneteenth really was like the beginning of it, right? From
Mhm.
Texas. So juneteenthlegacy.com, people can go there and they can actually sign up and they can get the recordings. Are there any portion of it that they can still get involved in? I think I asked you the other day if they could still get involved in any other portion of this as a speaker, because they're part of Black Speakers Network. So are there a lot of Black Speakers Network that have already joined part of this to be a part of the organization? part of the conference.
Absolutely, absolutely. So while we've got a lot of headway because it is June, we've made a lot of headway and it's a little late for certain things that speakers want to do. We do have the live sessions coming up, and there is space in the anthology where people can be a part of the live broadcast and they can
Okay,
submit their chapter for the anthology. Now, the other thing that we have out there is we have the speaker applications for 2025 already out.
there you
So I
go.
want to encourage, I have had so many people in this last week like, hey, I want to get in. I want to get in. I'm like, well, here's the options I have. And I'm like, well, it's not really aligned with my goals. And I'm all about support your goals. But what I need is for you to get in on 2025 if we can't make 2024 work. Because they say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. Take the action today, and
Man.
we won't be having this conversation next year because we'll get you started early, much earlier this year for 2025. And 2025 is going to be in Dallas as well as online. And then 2026 is going to be in Tulsa as well as online.
Wow.
That's
Okay. All right.
amazing.
I love it. I love it. So people heard it. Go to juneteenthlegacy.com. There's an opportunity to be a part of the anthology, and then also to sign up for 2025. Don't be late to the game. Okay. This is it. So we're going to go through the magazine right now, JJ. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. We got you.
All right, good, good. So I love this. Give me a photo credit of who this photo is from. I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, this is Shay Brown's team, Media Experts.
Yes, I love this. I love the outfit, the styling, the color, the power color, and Lieutenant Colonel JJ Conway, CEO of Conway Financial Group. And we also talk a little bit about this collaborative part of this as well, that the Juneteenth is more than a holiday. Let's build wealth together, leave a legacy, but also power networking experiences coming to Charlotte. So I think this 2024 is just really the year of a lot of collaborations, YB. It is, I
Yeah.
see so many different conferences overlapping with each other and really connecting and that kind of thing. And I also want to make sure that people know that they go through the virtual issue. They'll
Mhm.
see all of the videos as well. So they'll see this video here of JJ that is in there as well. So again, we talked about some of the topics of the legacy, the Black Wealth Strategy Conference, the number one, real talk, real solutions. So the thing that I like that you talk about is that it's real talk, real solutions. And
Mhm.
it's not just talking just to like, oh, I'm gonna get this off my chest. And these are these are the things. No, we're actually talking about real solutions. So I want to make sure that people know that. We've got our conference speakers there. And then the speakers in the magazine. I got the Juneteenth over here on the side, but we also have videos here of the different speakers as well. This whole thing really just talks about my letter this month talks about why Juneteenth, and really giving a little bit of background about Speakers Magazine collaborates with Black Speakers Network, and we are primarily 7 years now promoting, amplifying, marketing Black speakers unapologetically. And
Mhm.
so this particular one is another Black Door Society, another group that I partner with, and they open doors of wealth, opportunity, and legacy as well. So you kind of can see how we are in 2024. Everyone is in this same kind of mode of legacy. It's more. It's not just about us, but it's about wealth and opening doors of opportunity. Pamela Luhang, she is out of Charlotte. She's hailing out of Charlotte there, and she will be speaking at the Power Networking Conference in Charlotte that's coming up. I think that's July 10th through the 13th. I
Mhm.
believe Shay will be there as well. I don't know, JJ, I think, are you going to be at the Power Networking Conference as well?
Oh, yes, I'm a power coach again this year.
Yes, I thought you were. You thought you were. So you kind of can see where there is a lot of overlap in this particular one. These are two speakers here, Cynthia Isaac and Janine Folks, both of them. I always say this too, that a lot of I got into this because I was promoting authors, but the way authors sell books is by speaking. So
Mhm.
speakers have to have books and authors have to speak. So it is the thing, and because we have to share our information in ways that, of course, we can speak from a platform, but you also have to write a book because it can go places where you can't go, and you can actually go further and faster when you have the information in your hand in a book. And so that is Janine has written, I think, about 16 books or so. Cynthia is really, she came into really the speaking space. She was a widow, and so she really helps women of color, especially those that are widows, to make a pivot and make new changes and start anew. Janine's books really a minister. The background on Janine, she is her father is a legacy entrepreneur, roller rink. Okay, so if anybody roller skates, you know what that's like. So when we were little, that's what we did. It was like your parents drop you off in the morning, they come get you in the evening. You been to roller rink all day. So that was a place where we would go. We would go to roller rinks like that where her father owned, and they still own it. And so that's legacy. I think it's 3 generations now. It's 3 generations actually, because it's part ownership now with her part of her family as well. The other thing here, I love this. So the 2 videos are here for them to watch you here as well. But give us a little bit of background. I think these pictures were from the entrepreneur docu-series that you did. So give us a little bit of background. Did you do that one, or were those pictures from there, or am I mistaken?
Some of those pictures are from the making of an entrepreneur
Making of
docuseries.
Yes.
But yes, some of the pictures were, others were from our National Speaker Association photo shoot that we had. And it was encouraged that we have a variety of lifestyle as well as production style photos. And this is one of those areas where I really want to encourage people. I already encourage you, sometimes pay to play is the good thing, next step for your business. In this case, this is one of those things where I really had to trust and take direction from the producer and the photographer and the videographer, because I don't always know what looks good. I know what I might want, but I need to communicate the vision and let them tell me how to execute it. That's what they're
Mhm.
good at. And
Mm,
so that's been a journey for me, from being that high level military leader that always just tells people what to do, to
Mhm.
learn how to humble myself and allow the experts to do what they do. And it's just been a blessing. I'm so pleased with how the work came out. And I'm also pleased with the work that your staff did, Pam, in putting together such a great layout and actually capturing a story that maybe all of us wouldn't be able to have captured on our own.
the docu-series, where could we see it? Where is it actually shown?
It is I was about to
On
say it's a
YouTube?
link on
Is
what's
it
that?
on
It is
YouTube?
on YouTube. It is
Okay.
on YouTube, and it should be a link from jjconway.com when it talks about book me as a speaker. But now that you said that, I think I better make sure I'm correct on my links, because we just rolled out a new website and I don't think I made sure on that one.
Oh my
But
God.
it's
Yeah.
fabulous. It's fabulous. He takes you through the obstacles that you overcome, what mental blocks to success, what physical blocks to success, and
Mm,
how you were able to rise over all those things. And it's just wonderful. It's a
yeah.
wonderful experience.
Yeah, some of the parts of the story I can only put in so much, but the whole part of you coming out of debt, of really pulling that together, over 800,000, is a big part of your story of why, we always say, you could take your pain and put it into your purpose, and you really did. That part of that has been, you're on fire about really making sure that that doesn't happen to anyone else in terms of their financial that. This person right here, he's almost like a Boyce Watkins, so you can kind of say that a little bit. He is definitely one that is for my people and down with it. He's a preacher, a minister, author, a speaker. He's got a television program, and it's called Think Out Loud, not Talk Out Loud, but Think Out Loud. And his radio show is a podcast that's on YouTube, Michael Nimmons, and he is really uh, flowing in that same Black empowerment space as well. So that's one of the ones that's in this magazine. You'll see his video there as well. And then Novena, she is actually hailing, I want to say, out of Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken. And she is a therapist. So she really helps people with trauma. And you hear that that's one of the topics that you're going to be talking about as well. The trauma of slavery, and just the a lot of things that African Americans go through that other races don't go through. And so obviously we all have childhood trauma, but then if you add on a layer of maybe, say, going back, say, 3 generations or 4 generations, if you know 4 generations back, what that what that may have meant to your family, what trauma maybe your family have gone through. I know I can only go back to like my great great grandmother. I don't even know anything before that. And when you think about it, I mean, obviously we can get a DNA kit and kind of find, but we don't know them. It's not like we can put our finger on like, yeah, I knew them. So that could be part of that trauma as well. So she kind of goes over that. I know you speak a little bit about that at your conference, and you do, I won't say you do therapy, JJ, but it's more or less like you have people that will speak to those issues. What are some of those issues that your conference speaks to on the area of mental health?
So both in Juneteenth Legacy as well as my Women's Wealth Summit, the first day is usually spent addressing trauma, and sometimes the trauma is not even known. And I'm not a proponent. I mean, well, let me rephrase that. I don't have anything against going to a counselor or anything like that. There's been times where I've really needed that therapy, but that's not what this is necessarily for. It's to understand that there's deep-seated trauma that could be affecting us that we don't even know about. And how do you get past that if you don't know?
Right.
Therapy is definitely a component of that, but sometimes also moving our body, getting in uncomfortable situations. There are a lot of things that we can do that to help with the trauma that we may not know. Scientifically, I'm not a doctor, I don't play one on TV, but I've done some research. Scientifically and neurologically, in the cells of our body, every time a person receives trauma in their body, that trauma is passed down to their seed. And
Hmm.
so if you think about generations of trauma, we are fighting, and I'm sure Novena talks about it. We're fighting things that we don't even realize that are causing blocks. And so for many of us, there are certain things and behaviors we can do, certain ways that we take care of our body that will help release that trauma over time and help us push past it, whether we ever know what it is or don't.
I just love you. You are so smart. It's like I'm not a therapist, but scientifically, she's gonna do this research, man. It's like you know what? The whole conference could just be JJ, okay? Because you would just love just listen to her all day long. That is good.
Whoa, whoa,
Uh,
whoa.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. I
go ahead.
was I was seeing you switch the screen there. So yep.
No, no, I can go back. Okay. Okay, go back here. Yeah. So Cherie Woody here is hailing out of Vegas, and she's an Emmy Award winning journalist, women's leadership speaker. She works in television. She is an assistant news director at a station there. We met actually in NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, many years ago. And then I was at a conference networking, NAB, National Association of Broadcasters, not the Black journalists, but just generally. And so NAB is primarily a white organization that's been around over 100 years. And so it's a sprinkle of African Americans there. And I was in Vegas and I ran into Cherie because I saw her. She was Black and was like, hey, the Black person. We walked up each other, said, we've known each other 20 years ago. We met at NABJ. And so she was telling me that she was doing this, she was speaking and women leadership speaker because she really wants to, again, the generations that are coming up after us, she really wants to make sure that they have the wisdom, that they get the coaching. She's writing a book. Besides her career as a news director, she also wants to make sure that her voice is heard and that she's sharing her wisdom with generations behind her. Again, that's something that a lot of us are doing now that really want to make an impact. And so another group organization I'm affiliated with, Black Door Society, again, opening doors of wealth legacy for African American women, specifically entrepreneurs, is we're having an event on June 21st and 22nd where we're going to network. And the person that is putting this one on is Jeff Brooks. Jeff is a photographer in the DMV area. And so we're doing like a photo shoot, a meet and greet. Sharon Morton of the Black Door Society will be there. I'll be flying in there from Detroit. And that is an event that people can come to as a bonus when they come to this event, which is a community awards luncheon that is going to be taking place on the 22nd. Roland Martin is one of the ones that's going to be getting an award. And Sharon started this organization about 3 years ago. And really, it was like the good old boy network, but this is a good old Black girl network. And she's unapologetic about calling it Black Door Society. We're walking through the doors and busting down doors for other people to come through. And so this is every year we honor those that are in the community that are doing good work. The one person down here, Sean Yancey, she's a reporter, but she also has her own foundation that helps women as well. And then this, YB, if you can kind of talk a little bit about Speak Self Shine, what that was about, that's coming up again in the DC area as well. But uh, he was a part of that as well. So if you want to I'll let you kind of talk a little
Oh,
bit about.
absolutely. So Speak Sell Shine was a phenomenal event for those who are speakers who want to elevate and enhance their visibility, credibility, profitability, sales. It actually helped me to come out to learn that the work I was doing as a speaker and as a consultant was in the PR space. Dr. Pam, I call her my Michigan mom, so she blessed me tremendously with encouragement during that process. So we learned about sales, we learned about the process of public relations and how to promote ourselves, and obviously how to leverage Dr. Pam's wisdom. And then we got some time on stage to be able to share, our talks, and to be able to get footage to get so we can build a speaker reel, which is extremely, extremely important for speakers. If you're watching this and you're a brand new speaker and you have yet to put together a speaker reel, you need to put that together. But if you are someone who's experienced and now you're ready to go to the next level, it would be in your best interest to check out the Speak Sell Shine event, because it was eye opening. I now have about what is it? 19 brothers and sisters. There's about 20 of us.
Yes,
Got
it's
19 additional brothers and sisters, and then that expands the network quite a bit as well.
yeah. And one of the things too, Willie Jolly was there. He gave the closing, and then the day before was Dr. Sherwood. So we had two powerhouse that
Mhm.
just really had everybody come close. It's like, here, listen, this is how this really, really works. And so they those two definitely poured into everyone, as well as the media panel. That was really the main thing. And it was done at the press club. I wanted it to be about press, about how to leverage press. So of course we had African American press there as well as other press people as well. So I really wanted the speaking part. We got the sales part is what I really, really wanted people to get in the shine. And the sales, I had brought in a sales trainer, Ryan Dorn. He is not black, but he is from South Carolina. And he was like, hey, I'm a top sales trainer. Let me tell them and talk to them about sales, because he has sold millions and millions of dollars every single year. And he's a great speaker, and he's always on stages. He's booked like majority of the time. I said, can you tell them your secret sauce? And he said, hey, no problem. So again, JJ, I've got good friends like you as well. It's like, hey, he got it. He got a good one, got a good one. So that's one of the ones too as well. So I want to make sure that if people wanted to go to that, go to speaksellshine.com. It's happening October 8th and 9th in DC, again at the Press Club at the Howard Theater. And then this is coming up in July. This again is PNC. JJ is going to be there as well. But that's Uncle George there doing his conference. I think it's the 24th year that they are doing the PNC conference. And Linda Clemens is a part of that. Pamela Luhing, like I said. And they also have Master P there as well. So that's like one of the things, like, okay, George, so we got some Master P in there. And so it's a good conference for people to go to as well. But I want to make sure that people take advantage of how they can be a part of the Juneteenth Legacy Conference. That's really like the main thing that people are going to go to. And if they want to get featured in Speakers Magazine, that is also available as well, where they can go to speakersmagazine.com and get featured. And we have some couple of spots open in the months coming up. So if they want to do that as well. So I want to end a little bit with JJ really giving some more uh, things that she didn't get to say about the Juneteenth Legacy event, about what people can expect and how they can be involved.
Love, love, love that. Thank you so much. That's a fantastic episode. I hope all those speakers are going to be in Juneteenth Legacy next year, because they have some powerful stories. And
Yeah.
I'm very excited to have be associated with you and with them, especially you too, YV. One thing that what we want to do is we want to have these real conversations. It's not enough to just say, okay, there's a problem. What do we do about it? And I'll never forget when my first business mentor told me to take my picture off my website. And he said, people don't want financial advice from a young Black woman. They want it from an old white man. And I was so
Wow.
mad at him.
Oh my God.
So mad at him. But then I took my picture off my website because I'm trying to make money. And you know what? My conversion increased 400%. Now, of course, I am a national speaker. So, of course, my picture's on there, because then I started having people hire me to speak, and they were surprised that I was a Black woman and not a white woman. So, so my picture's all over the website now, but it's important to understand that there are certain strategies that you can use that will help you attain the success that you want, mainly getting around these problems that some of us haven't even acknowledged yet. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great, real, and raw conference, and I hope that you'll be there.
And one of the things that I saw that we didn't talk about, but the disparities in healthcare. That's a whole
Oh,
area in itself. There's one particular doctor that wrote a book. Can you hand me that book, Mark? That blue book about disparities. Is Dr. Angela Marshall. She's in the DMV area as well, and she wrote a book, and it was called Dismissed. And
yep.
sometimes if you're African American woman or man, you will tell your doctor something and they'll just dismiss it. And that's what this book is about. And she's a doctor and she was actually dismissed in medical school. She was a med student and she was telling the doctor that, she was pregnant. She says, I don't think there's something's going wrong with my pregnancy. I don't feel right. And the doctor dismissed. And then she ended up going to emergency and lost the baby. But she's a medical student, but she was still a black woman. He was an older white man. And he was like, you're just a black woman all in her emotions. And it was dismissed. So the disparities, not just in terms of what the healthcare is itself, but just the how we are handled in the medical system. That is
Oh,
part of it
yes.
as well. So I definitely want to make
Absolutely.
sure that you and Dr. Angela Marshall meet. I would love her to be a part of your conference for 2025.
Yes, absolutely. I went to one of the places that I've lived in the military. I kept putting black on my medical paperwork, and it kept coming back. The next time I would go in there, it would say white, like when they give you your profile. And after about 3 times, I was like, "Why is this happening?" And someone pulled me aside, and they're like, "The people are trying to help you. Let it go." Because if you have black on your medical record, the doctor is already going to assume this or that and the other. And y'all know me. I'm B1 all the way. I'm not trying to be who I'm not. I'm not trying to be who I am. I'm not about that life. But they were like, you somebody is trying to help you. Somebody in the back is trying to help you. Let them help you.
Because of the
And
health
that
care.
breaks my heart. That's the story why we added that into the panel. Because then you know what I did? I started talking to nurses. Is this a real thing? Oh yeah. If you're overweight, if you're a woman of color, you are automatically dismissed.
Mm,
And don't be both. Don't be both.
mm.
Yes.
I had
Yes,
no
ma'am.
idea. Yeah, because I noticed that was new this year. Because normally you're talking about, but that part right there, and it is, you know, so these speakers, if we have like 47 speakers, how long is this conference, like each day?
So these are really heavy topics, and it's not like everybody's going to be able to speak for 2 hours because it's such a gravity of topic. So the conference itself runs from 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. 5
Okay.
p.m. Eastern, and then in the first night we'll have a top off a live session for the authors, and in the morning we kick off with an hour live session.
Okay. All right. And
Mhm.
then this is all online, or this is actually in
This
Texas?
year it is. I know some of you who saw the early announcements, it was supposed to be in Atlanta. There's a whole story as to why it's not. But it'll be completely online this year, which actually worked out because it allowed us to market to more. But I love the in-person feel. I love being in the room. So like
Yeah,
I said
because you were in
earlier, next year
Chicago
we're gonna
last.
be in Dallas. If we have to everybody come to my house to have this conference, we're gonna be in Dallas.
Well, last year you had in Chicago.
Yes.
You had in Chicago last year, and I think Dr. Sherrill was there in Chicago.
Dr. Cheryl Wood was there. Dr. Boyce Watkins was there. Quite a few phenomenal speakers were there. Sergeant Stephanie Shannon was there. Ina Johnson Myers was there. I mean, these ladies brought the heat, and they opened up our eyes, just like they will in this year's conference. They opened up our eyes to the things that you don't even realize are stopping you, and that's the beauty of this conference because it's difficult for some people to talk about things if they're
Mm,
still getting paid by the same person who's causing the trauma. So a lot
mhm,
of military veterans don't want to have those they don't
mm,
want to lead the conversations. They want to be in the room for the conversations, but they don't want to be the front piece for the
right.
conversations because they got to go back to Uncle Sam. And
Mhm.
Uncle Sam had a field day with me when I first started talking about blacks can't do physics, being told blacks can't do physics, or
But
being
you
told, hey, my job is to get rid of you. If you stop asking for help, we'll stop giving you the wrong answers. Like Uncle Sam had a field day with that, and I almost suffered military punishment for that.
Ooh, oh my goodness.
So it's
That is, yeah. So you really are brave in doing that, and I wanna thank you for doing that, and then also too, you have sponsors. So if people can't get involved as a speaker this year and they do want to be a little bit more, I guess you would say, visibility, they can be a part of the virtual conference by becoming a sponsor. I'm sure
They absolutely can.
you can
They
still
absolutely
fit,
can.
you can still fit in some of those type of things as well.
Set up
Uh,
your virtual sales booth. We have
yeah,
lots of options for people to still be involved.
good. Yeah, that's what I was wondering because I think SEO Queen is part of that as well.
Mhm.
Yes, so she has a virtual sales booth. So people would explain what a virtual sales booth is, and so people who are like, what is that? What, so explain that what that means,
It's
JJ.
gonna mean whatever it's gonna be as much or as little as the vendors want. For some vendors, it's a link to their website, but for others, they may have a link to a Zoom room where they're actually able to interact with people, or a link to my video to explain, or a separate page. We work with the sponsors depending on the level of sponsorship, and we also have our in our booklet that we do. We produce the paper booklet for those who order swag boxes, as well as the digital booklet. The digital booklet creates links as well to your pages, and we give each speaker and sponsor a generous number of pages.
There
And
you go.
that's still options to be in there as well. Even if you're not speaking, get your ad in the book.
Well, what's in this swag box here? You just not mentioning
Oh,
the
it's
swag
I'm
box.
still receiving things from the speakers, but it depends. It can be
Some
last
people,
year we had mugs, we had portfolios, we had t-shirts, we had all really cool pens. It's the speakers send things in, and
okay.
that's what gets part of the swag box. It's always phenomenal.
Okay, so the speakers and also sponsors could put things in the swag box as well. So you and
Mhm.
those that get mailed out before the Juneteenth Legacy Conference.
Yes,
So
which
I
obviously you have to get them into me quick because they're gonna be mailed at the end of
yeah,
next week.
that's what I was just thinking. That I kind of put that in there. It's like, okay, so if you have a book and you're trying to get more visibility on your book, this will be a good place. If you have clients that you work with, maybe this is a good place because of the amount of eyes and ears that will be on the conference. This is a good place. Digital, because it's digital, it'll be there forever. So it'll be part of that as well. And the person who's running your you got SEO Queen there. So obviously she can make sure that it's going to have a lot of SEO. So I would suggest that this is a good place if you do want to get more visibility and credibility to be a part of the Juneteenth Legacy Conference as well. So yes.
And those who provide courses kinds of things, they're not just a one-time thing, but we're also adding them into the academy.
Hmm.
So that's a new thing this year. It's going to be live and launched more officially. We're doing a soft fill now this year to be launched in 2025 is the portal person where we'll have the different, at the Power Networking, they said, hey, mentor has a bad connotation when you think about where that word came from. But in the African culture, the guides were called jegnas. So we have a section called My Jegna, and we're building that now with this, starting with this year's speakers and rolling out to next year's speakers and sponsors as well, where you can actually hang your course. You can actually hang yourself as a mentor or a guide. It's a sponsorship opportunity to be one of the Jegnas for Juneteenth Legacy. And so I'm very
Hmm.
excited about all these things coming down
Yeah.
the pike.
Oh my God. So you're just adding more layers and layers to this. I love it. I love it. That is really you can tell that you're doing God's work. Okay. You can just tell you're doing God's work. That is the thing. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. YB, we are, your magazines are on the way. You'll actually have that. This will be part of the swag bag that everybody will get, or swag box, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
The swag box. Everybody will get one of these as well. And then YB,
Those who
yours.
order,
Pardon me.
because the tickets are complimentary, but you can upgrade.
Right, right, right. That's what I'm saying. That obviously they know you're not going to be getting a whole box for free. That's one of the things you want to definitely make sure that you order that and you get all the goodies in there as well. And your cover is amazing. I love, love, love that that photo that Shay did. That is really good. And you see that you guys have your background covers. I love that as well. So I just thank everybody for joining us today because this has been really, really good. And you're talking really some serious topics. If you want to get featured in the next Speakers Magazine, go to speakersmagazine.com, get featured. And then obviously, if you're not part of the BSN network officially, please join it. You can always, go to our Facebook page and things like that. But you want to get in on all the things that Brian is doing. So Brian Oles, thank you so much for letting us stream today and do all the things that are that we need to do. And so with that, we're at I did good time, Brian. 59 minutes and 13 seconds. So with that, I just want to say thank you all so much. And you all have a good one. And I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.